Good morning and welcome back to Morning Express. We're glad you're watching on this 9th day of June 2015. It is Tuesday, and as is always the case, it is time for Person of Interest. And joining us today is Professor John Lonyangopuo. He's a senator West Pokot. He was recently ranked as the best performing senator. We'll talk about that. But he was also recently summoned for investigation of incitement of some of the violence we've been witnessing in the northern part of Kenya. But we always want to begin with getting to know our person of interest a little bit better. And so, Senator, asante sana for joining us this morning. And we've seen you a lot, and you've been in the public service for quite a long time. But for those who may not remember, we'll get to you, just jogging our memory on that. But let's start with where you were born and grew up. Where did that happen?
Thank you. I was born in a place called Kanyarkwat in West Pokot County. About 30 kilometers away from the border of Kenya and Uganda, exactly bordering Trans Nzoia County. So you can imagine from the map of Kenya where that is. Mount Elgon is just not very far from us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
Grew up there, siblings?
I grew up there, and we are a family of 10. And
10 kids?
10 kids, yes.
From
and,
two parents?
One mother.
One mother.
And then, but I also have other mothers. My father had 4 wives, and so we are a very big family.
I can imagine. Sisters
and brothers.
You're the what child? What born?
Second born.
Okay.
So, and my mother is the first wife. So you can imagine how we are now.
Yeah.
We are a very good family.
I can imagine.
Yes.
So how was it like growing up with all of these people in the household, the sibling rivalry? How was that like? Did you experience any of that?
No, we didn't, because our father, he is now late, he died last year, was able to put his family together. You would not know which child belonged to which mother. All of us grew up together. Even to date, you cannot distinguish all of us.
Yeah.
And there's no problem between the mothers. And we grew up at a time when very few people had gone to school in our region.
Yeah.
And very fortunately, in the early 70s, since we were bordering Trans Nzoia, and remember Trans Nzoia was one of the white farms those days. So most of the white farmers went back to England, and they sold their land. The government sold to many people, I mean, from different tribes. So amazingly, we got other Kenyans coming to buy this land close to us. People from central Kenya, some from western Kenya. And we saw their children going to school, and that's how my father and others were influenced and told this idea of men going to school, apart from looking after cows, is the best.
Is the best. So you went to school early on?
I went to school not really early on, because I went to class 1 straight when I was already over 10 years.
Okay.
And that's what really happened. And
you had proper schools, classrooms, teachers. So how was the learning?
The learning was interesting because, like I told you, most men in Pokot culture at that time, and right now, the very far from the where people are a bit civilized,
right,
were trained to become herdsmen. So one story that marks my life very interesting is even when I went for my PhD, I went to do maths all along in my life, from class 1 up to university PhD, and it happened because one time, because when you had animals in the evening, you should tell your father and your parents whether all animals are back. That means you should know the number.
You should account for them.
You should account for them. Somehow I managed to know to account for them. I would go at the door of the door where the goats would sleep and count all the legs and divide by 4. Because one goat has 4 legs. Or I would go to the boma of cows stand on a raised ground and count all the horns.
But wait, I'm imagining, because they're moving around, they're not still, then wouldn't you mix up the numbers? Because that counting would require that they're still and not move, because by the time you're starting on this end and then they start moving around, wouldn't you mix up the math?
when animals have settled.
Ah, okay.
Yes, they have just come in, they are not fighting. We know at what time to count them. Yeah, rough estimate, and you will easily know.
Okay.
Even the cows, when they are asleep, you just go and you see all the horns up. So
this counting them, accounting for them with your father, that's what got you what? Mathematically inclined?
That's what made me really, and that really made me now to be driven towards school, because during that time, teachers would walk from home to home, convincing parents of my community to take their children to school. And one incident happened when a teacher called Kunikina came, and he saw me doing this business. I said, you see, if this gentleman goes to school, telling my father, he will be a perfect herdsman, better than what he is today. He can count all the animals. Then he said, let's try. And then it happened.
So that encouraged your father. Okay, so you went to school, primary school, after age 10.
Yes.
Then where did you go to secondary school?
After finishing secondary school, I did very well. Then I was admitted to Form 1 in some Harambee Secondary School.
Yeah.
Incidentally, to date, we didn't have a secondary school built by government in the entire county. Wow. So the one that we had, the second boys secondary school that I went to, was built by a Catholic Church, Ortum Boys Secondary School.
Wow.
And we were the third lot. It used to be called Harambee Secondary School. So we were the first fellows that the government took there.
Okay.
And
then
somehow I went from there. I went to a school called St. Mary's School Yala in Nyanza. So I read a book about a man called Tom Boyer, and I said I want to go to school where this gentleman went. That's how I went there. I got division. I got division 1 in the old school, that small school where I was.
Yeah.
Then I went from 5 and 6 in Yala. When I finished, I found myself in Egerton University doing the first degree in education and double maths. And my life continued. Finished Egerton University, went as a teacher, became a headmaster, teacher 1 year, 91 headmaster. By December, I was called back to Egerton because I was one of the top students to go and work there, and also become the first lot of students bred in Egerton to go for masters there. So we could given full government scholarship, and we did our studies, finished, and then taught in Egerton. 96, I went for my PhD in UK. So nearly all along my time, I worked in university, came back to 1999. And resumed back as a senior lecturer in Egerton. 2002, I was posted by the chancellor of those universities that time. There was only one chancellor, president that time, who was the chancellor of all public universities, posted me to Moi University as a principal of a college called Jepkoilel campus.
Wow, so well read, and I imagine even going to the UK, that must have been an opening to a whole new world. A boy from West Pokot with the cows and the goats, getting all through this educational levels. And we'll get to that and the impact of that and what and the state of the county is now. But also talk to us about public service, your first job, and also how you entered politics, briefly.
So when I was done, I was posted to university as a principal of a college that had over 4,000 students. My first shock came because in that university, I found only 4 people from my community, the entire Pokot in West Pokot County, in that university. 1 girl and 3 boys. And in the entire Kenyan university, public and private, the sum total was 100. Then I sat and said, hey, something must be done. Then I created a program called Academic Outreach Program, for which every weekend, faithfully and honestly, Friday up to Sunday evening, I decided to call professors and tell them there's work we must do. Let us go and reach out to people to know why we must go to school, And they can only know if you speak and exhibit yourself there. And I became the patron, and faithfully from 2002 I continued, and I started with my community. And people say, well, people of Pokot don't listen. I was surprised they listened, because by the time I was finishing my term as a principal, 2007 December, shockingly the number has risen from 100 in the total Kenyan universities, coming from West Pokot alone, speaking that language of Pokot, had risen to over 5,000 in a single 5 years.
Okay. And that transition to what? Through government, getting into
yes, coming. And then we also, you remember, well, that's the time now, we also introduced, and I was one of the champions, introduced parallel programs. Any student with a C+ and above qualifies to go to university, but you have to pay, because the government has little grants. We only pay for people with A- and B+, but the rest also go to university. And that's how everybody now is there. That's what happened, and we were able to drive that agenda, and I'm very proud to be associated with that agenda. When my term was ended as the principal of the university, that's the time now the elections were done, and President Kibaki became the president, his last term, and I was given an opportunity to be the first PS from my community in government, and then again also the first PS of industrialization as a ministry. You know, those days you'd be trade and industry, and so on, and that's how my life went.
Yeah, and politics now proper.
Politics proper ended me when I began this program called Academic Outreach Program. I started receiving very interesting comments from politicians. Yes. Both in Pokot, Turkana, Uasin Gishu, and most of them in Rift Valley. Why is this man driving this agenda? What is he up to? And I got a lot of resistance. I said, wait a minute. No wonder these communities are what they are, courtesy of this gentleman. One day, I will come into this field so that we liberalize, we bring people who love education like nobody's business into this field, so that people can see a role model who cannot hide the truth. And that's how I got interested
into politics.
Okay,
so interesting journey it has been for you. And somebody was asking a question I saw earlier when I said I was going to be hosting you, and said, is it true that he's the first professor from that region, Pokot? Is it
yes,
correct?
And that's why, like I told you, I began this ministry called Academic Outreach Program.
Yeah. Because
my community, well, Pokot people, have found it difficult to enter into the mainstream system, because government, instead of reaching out, you remember in 1912, when the Musungu came completely to the White Highland farms you talk about, nearly 90% of Trans Nzoia was occupied by Pokot. Trans Nzoia now, as you know. Right. Then they were driven. Then some interesting thing happened. When they were driven, some kind of leader who was among them, you know, these guys, you know, in the villages, they have their own leadership.
Yes, yes.
One of them said, don't fight the Musungu. It has been said, don't fight them, just move, but don't entertain anything from them. Okay. So somehow people moved, and today they refuse going to church those days, because it's Musungu driven. They never went to school because it's associated with this. So when the leadership came into our hands as Africans, instead of reaching them, telling them, Musungu has left. Who drove you from your lands? And therefore, this idea of going to school has come.
It took a while for people to catch on.
And somehow those of us who went to school, we went to school, like I've just mentioned, because we interacted with people who had come from other communities.
But going to school.
Yes.
Okay.
And lastly, also Christianity now began to come, although late.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, most of the schools now have been built by hand, by missionaries, and by churches, and by the local people. Okay. Government did not do that. If they went the way I'm thinking, we would be having more people. To date, I'm still the only professor.
Wow.
Yes.
To date.
To date. And that's why I say, let me leave this working in Nairobi, and me live working in any other place. I go and work among them, so that they see me on a daily basis and say it is possible. They touch my hand, it is possible.
All right, and we'll get to some of the issues in that particular county and the region. But one final question before we move away from your personal life. And you mentioned your father was polygamous. Did you follow his steps? Are you also now counting 5, 7 wives, many children?
Like I mentioned, during that time when we were going to school, Christianity came. My mother and my mothers became Christians, and that's how most of us became Christians. And I am a Christian today. So I have 1 wife and 5 children.
Okay.
Yes. Good
stuff. Is it unchristian to have more than 1 wife?
I don't know. It's not unchristian, but when the word of God reaches you, it can reach you any time. When you have 5 wives, 10 wives.
Yes.
I found one man with 12 wives, and he's a preacher.
Wow.
In my community.
Wow.
And whenever I go for my meetings, I look for that man because it's a very serious example.
Yeah.
When he preaches, if you had a little sin among you, within you, you become saved. You become instant. Even a sick person, they brought one morning, they brought a kid who was unwell.
Yeah.
And this man with 12 wives prayed for the kid, and the kid got healed.
Okay, let's get into the matters at hand, and quite a lot to discuss this morning. But let's begin with the recent survey that was released by Infotrack and ranked you as highest performing senator. In fact, was it 74.5%? So you are number 1. What did you think about this ranking?
Personally, I think it was the hand of God, because I don't know Infotrack, I don't know them, but I think they reflect exactly what it is on the ground. Because if I don't know them and they don't know me, and they were able to do that, that means those fellows do exactly what is right. Because if you go to my community today, you will even get more than that 70-something% about what they perceive their leader, their senator, to do.
So what have you done? Because that is the thing, because this also came at a time when you are also being, investigated and questioned about all of this, and we'll get to the violence part of what's been happening. So what do you see as what you've done to impact on the change and change the lives of your people to get them to rank you high?
What happened was that I was summoned for some investigation a week earlier. And then exactly a week later, this good news arrived to tell Kenyans who this man is, different from the man you are trying to entertain.
Although it's important to clarify that this survey was conducted between December of last year and February. So by the time of these attacks and all of that, that had not happened.
That had not happened. And I'm told they did the survey in December, January, February. And that means this it's not biased. Why the people love me is because, like I told you, from the time I learned that I can give my people something, I can tell my people the story of why we should change like other Kenyans, by creating that forum where I would go to nursery schools and talking to them, I would go to primary schools, I would go to secondary school, everywhere, and telling them this. And anytime I have funds in my pocket, I do it. This is a typical example. When I became the principal 2004, that is 2 years later when I was appointed, I decided to build a secondary school. Just purposely for boys who were lost. Like I mentioned, I was put in a place called Kanyarkwat. And during that time, Kanyarkwat had been brought down to pieces because of a ruler that was in Uganda called Idi Amin from 70s to so. There were guns in the hands of Ugandans before Museveni came and brought order. So my people were affected. We even migrated ourselves from home.
So you're saying a secondary school?
So I decided, whenever I would go home, I find boys who are lost. It's no longer like us who went to school earlier. I decided to build a secondary school and harvest any boy that had read class 6, class 7, take them to class, and then come back and study in this class, in this school, free.
But what impact is that having? Because on one hand, you said to date you're still the only professor in that region, and you do a lot of talking to these young people in the region, but that talking appears not to be trickling down to their hearts and souls and winning them over to a changed kind of thinking, because we're still seeing very many of them involved in this kind of violence.
I'm very sorry to tell you, Nairobi should actually ask for forgiveness.
Okay.
Because what you are calling us is not what we are. I'm beginning to tell you the story. We should have been called bad 10, 20 years ago and beyond. But today, no. Because like I've told you, I built a secondary school just innocently because I wanted these boys to go to school. Somehow, as we speak today, is one of the top schools in Kenya here. That school, which is now 12 years old. Because the first 19 boys who did exam, 12 were bad. They used to be very wrong numbers. But somehow that school caused a lot of influence to the extent we have now built more secondary schools for girls and for boys within that region where I was born. You have asked me why you are still the only one. Professorship is not earned very easily. And that was 10 years, 12 years ago when I began this movement of
so
going
they're coming,
to
the professors are coming.
Right now, like I've mentioned, we have over 5,000 in secondary school every year. And the county that has the highest number of civil servants in doing degrees, all the teachers, 4,200 in the entire county going to do degree in Kenya is West Pokot. The leading county where everybody is in class, including old men, today is West Pokot. But what you are reading is a very interesting story. You read a very tiny portion, 99.9% of entire West Pokot land is free of all vices evil that you read cattle rustling. What is read as cattle rustling is around Tarkwel, where we have a problem with our neighbors, Turkana. And we have tried now for the last 3 weeks to restore peace and order. A very tiny place, about 12 villages. Why would you want to elevate 12 villages to be equivalent to a whole county? And these 12 villages has less than 2,000 people. In West Pokot, there are 600,000 people.
The question, you may look at it that way, and perhaps that's one way to look at it, but when lives are being lost time and again, and this appears to be a problem that's not coming to an end, so it might appear small to you, but someone, an outsider looking inside, is wondering, what is it about this particular region? So for instance, let's talk about that, at Tarkwel, and the river Tarkwel is seen as that border. So what is the issue as you see it? It's
not a border. I want to correct it. River Tarkwel is not a border.
Okay.
That river is coming from Mount Elgon, and it cuts West Pokot. It cuts Pokot North is on the west of that river completely, and Pokot North is a district or a sub-county.
Right.
So it goes and passes through this dam called Tarkwel Dam, and goes for another 20-30 kilometers. That's when the border of Kenya, West Pokot and Turkana begins. That's where we have a problem. Now, this problem, people think the border is not a border. There is another river that comes through Kainuk, it's called Malmalte. That's where the border is, and they meet around Nakwamuru, where we have these problems with Pokot and Turkana. So I would love if people want to explain where we have this problem, they should go actually and see what we mean. What happened is that in 1986, when the government built this dam, Tarkwel, a small leper camp grew up inside the camp, the dam. And Pokot are very proud people. They don't like working with hands. They like looking after cows. So the community, our neighbors, Turkana, came and worked in the leper camp and worked for the Mzungu. When the Mzungu left, they continued remaining there. And they renamed the leper camp Lorogon. So Lorogon is in West Pokot, but somehow within leadership, I don't know what happened, the Turkana from Lodwar decided to be bringing ballot boxes to be coming for these people to vote, and they carry ballot boxes. They even have chiefs. So you have the Turkana claiming ownership of that land, and which is 2 acres as well, saying that is their land. The entire land is full of Pokot. It's just these 2 acres where they are living. It might be full of Pokot, but is it theirs in terms of the borders, the delimitation, and all of that? We have the map. It is clearly demarcated. Somehow people just want to mess up the boundary. Who, I don't know. People just want to mess up the boundary and make a big issue out of nothing. Today, I have over 10,000 people of Turkana origin who live in West Pokot. They are even in demarcated camps, and we have no problem with them because they are our people. They live, these are Kenyans, just like all other Kenyans. They live in West Pokot, they vote in West Pokot, they get their services in West Pokot, they even vote for me and all other leaders. But these particular ones, we are telling the Turkana community, leave our people alone. Go with your business. Let them come to us. If it is scholarship they want, we give them. If it is anything they need, just like Nairobi here. I am a member of Nairobi here. If I don't have water, Kidero and company are the ones who give us services, isn't it?
So when you as the leadership do not come to a place of agreement, that means you're agreeing with your people that this is their land. The other will agree with their people that this is their land. Doesn't that in itself then continue to fuel the conflict? Because there should be an agreement, these people who sit and come up with some form of mediation. So there's an agreement, because if you side with your people, the other with their people, the conflict will never end.
It will end, let me tell you.
And
it must end.
What will make it end?
It will end. We have asked the government, because some politics is normally being played here, the way we are seeing.
By whom? And you're the politicians.
I am now 2 years old. This problem has been there since we were born. Now I may not be the senator or a leader in future. It will be there. But we must do what is honorable. The government must do what the constitution says. Go and demarcate and show them the exact beacons. So that these people who are playing on a fluid, mobile boundary must be pinned and told, if you are found on this side, your services come from this side. So say this particular land at Takwel, if what you believe to be West Pokot's land is the government comes in and says, okay, you know what, this is actually not yours, we're giving it to the Turkanas. Will you be in agreement with that decision? Will you talk to your people to say that the government has spoken and that is done? Exactly, I will do it. I mean, the law gives power to the government. The government of the day doesn't matter who that is. So why do you think there's been a challenge for the government to come and do that, if it's that easy? It is easy, but the constitution has just been promulgated the other day, and it is not West Pokot as a problem alone. We have 22 such counties that are problem at the border. So it is not going to be very easy to say, let's start West Pokot alone. So we have to create a commission that is going to take time. It's going to take time, but in the meantime, we have asked, and that's what we have agreed, and I can speak here on behalf of my colleagues, even the leaders from Turkana. Since we want to pin and know who is benefiting from this nonsense here, let us tell the people not to fight anybody, wherever they are. Let them lay their tools of war down. If they have illegal guns, they return. If they have... But you are quoted as saying the other day after you were being investigated that it is not yet time to disarm, that should not be the priority, that can happen at some point. And I can tell you, and I will not retract from what I said, follow my words. You cannot disarm Pokot and leave Turkana alone. You cannot disarm Turkana and leave Pokot alone. And you cannot disarm Pokot or Turkana, both of them also, without doing something at the border of Southern Sudan and Ethiopia, where these illegal guns come from. So that's what we are saying. Let us put mechanism in place, sincerely and surely, to make sure that there is a sure security on the ground. All right. And to the extent that that's what happened. We have come up with a formula, and the government is now implementing, register any illegal gun. And like I mentioned, that small spot is very small. It's not large. And we'll go back to the disarmament. There's still more I want to pick your brain on that about. But let's talk about Kapedo as well. You believe Kapedo is where? I don't believe it is in the map. It is in Baringo East. I'm just speaking now as a friend or as somebody who loves peace. You know, I don't come from there. And that's why I want to correct this perception. Some Kenyans who are thinking, when I was summoned to appear before the CID, they were thinking this massacre that took place in Nadome, which is not very far away from Kapedo, that Nadome is in West Pokot. They were thinking like that. Shockingly, even the security apparatus in Nairobi, they are completely detached from those on the ground. When they summoned me to come and explain, they told Nadome is part and parcel of one of my villages, which is erroneous, 700 kilometers away from me. So when I told them, then you don't know what you are leading. If a whole security mechanism has failed, to the extent that the people, the security system of Baringo County, Turkana County, West Pokot County begin to condemn Nairobi, why are you calling the wrong man? So for you, there's no first, before we go to that contention about Kapedo, you believe it is in Baringo, eastern Baringo side? It is East Pokot. And East Pokot is a district in Baringo. And I want Kenyans to get it clearly. When they say East Pokot, just like you say Kikuyus in Nyeri and Kikuyus in Kiambu, those ones have no relationship. These are different counties. So when they say East Pokot, some people imagine maybe it is in West Pokot County. It's a sub-county of Baringo, that East Pokot thing. But in constituency terminology, they also call it Tiaty constituency, which is erroneous because they should have called it one name.
Yeah.
They should have called it either East Pokot constituency, similar to East Pokot district, or Tiaty constituency, Tiaty.
So for you, there is no dispute in as far as that is concerned?
There's no dispute. In fact, it's exactly in Baringo, East Pokot, that Kapedo place.
So talk to us about this time. You're summoned and you're being asked about Nadome, and yet it's very far from your county. So what was it they wanted to find out from you?
They thought I may have an information that may assist them to know what happened in Nadome. The people that were killed actually were people of East Pokot, and they were Pokot. The raiders came from Turkana County. I am a Pokot of West Pokot. So how would you ever even imagine and dare dream that I would go and fight people just like that? So that was a shocking bit. Somehow I think I found it to be almost like there were politics in it, just to frustrate me, because I am a KANU member. You cannot change me. Some people think they can plant some parties in West Pokot. You cannot.
And
when you summon me to go and appear before the CID, they summoned me on Thursday, on a Thursday afternoon, and they came to Bunge, which was very shocking also. How can you walk to Parliament? Somehow we sorted out that. And then I told them I can't come on Friday, I can come on Tuesday, because I have other functions to attend to in Nairobi here. I had some meetings in school. So I went.
Yes.
Before I reached, everybody was scrambling and struggling to call me. Don't come. From CID headquarters. All
right, let's talk about still a bit back to Kapedo, and when the police officers were killed there. I remember the president visited the region and talked about those firearms being returned that are in the hands of the residents. You are quoted as saying that with these police officers being killed, that you said you thought they were Turkana Home Guard. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So you did not have a problem with Turkana Home Guard being killed?
Exactly. Let me tell you what happened. And I want every Kenyan to pay attention so that you don't give me a wrong tack. It is erroneous. The President of the Republic of Kenya landed in Kapedo, a village called Chesitet, a compound of a primary school called Chesitet Primary School, which was named after me. Because I went there in the year 2009 after Kibaki had appointed me as a PS.
Yes.
I found a whole 3 locations has no school at all. So I built one for them. Now when we landed here, President decided to ask the locals what happened that you killed the officers. And I was asked to interpret, translate what Muse was saying. As he was speaking in Pokot, so was I speaking in English. What did you want me to say? I just baptized what he was saying in different tongue? No. As God lives, I say exactly what he said. What? That's why the president, the people who were with me, they had no problem, because they saw this was just a messenger speaking exactly what was in the heart of the old man who was holding lips. Yeah.
So then these people, the animosity then goes deep. And what is the issue here? So as a leader, and you stand and you're hearing your people saying that they have no problem killing people from a different region, that they would do it perhaps even again, that in killing these officers they thought they were from Turkana. What is it you've done since then to ensure that, and what is this animosity as well?
All of us were equally shocked when that Muse said that. And we asked what happened. Right there in front of the president. They said a day earlier, Kenya police reservists who are purely Turkana, because there is no KPR in Pokot side, there's none. They have access in Turkana and they have 0 on Pokot side, decided to use a GSU camp and go and raid the Pokots who are watering the animals. And those ones who are watering the animals got shocked. As they were discovering what was happening, 8 people already been killed, plus 1 woman. 8 boys dead, 1 woman dead, and then they ran back to jump into that GSU lorry. The same GSU lorry, looking like the one which was banned. As they drove, they said, we are going to Lomelo, and tomorrow morning we are getting more reinforcement. Are you getting my story? So these illiterate boys hearing that they are coming tomorrow, the Muslim now explains to us. So this one who survived decided to go and wait for their fellows, in quotes, to come, as they had said, that we are coming for more. We are going to kill more of you because we are going to bring more of our people from Lomelo in Turkana to kill more of you. So that's how it happened. We were told exactly that. And I want Kenyans not to be crucify people wherever they are, including some leaders like Duale, who say Lonyangabo must be finished. How would you finish me by just hearing me saying that it was a mistaken identity? Me, I'm saying exactly why, and I will never regret saying it, because I'm saying exactly what happened. If you want a solution to come, say exactly what that person has said, so that you don't baptize it.
So what do you see as the issues there? Because we have the Samburu, we have the Turkana, we have the Pokot, and all of this warring intention that has been there. What is at the bottom and at the very heart of the issues here?
I now speak as a leader from that region. Samburu, I speak for them. Pokot, Turkana, those three communities. Kenyans owe a lot to these people. We went there for 2 weeks recently, and we were shocked. Like I've just mentioned to you, my house and the border of where my people at the border of Pokot and Turkana is about 300 kilometers. That's where I am, far away. Reaching there, there is no network. Your phone, the one you're holding now, will never work there. Number one. In Kenya of today. Number two, no road at all. No services that you ever know since 1963. And so they are not independent.
We have the county government. So as you put this on the government, I need you to also, balance it out for me in terms of what you're also now doing to mitigate on some of these issues you're raising.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
No road. 2 years the county government has been there. Forget about the county government. That's 2 years old. What about the 50 years wasted from 1963 to 2003? To 2013. We need a lot of, we need to, the people of Kenya really need to know, these people became wild. In the nearest police station, there are about 3 police stations in the whole of the district, and you don't get more than 5 police officers inside. Wild. People, no farming takes place, people eat animals, you drink blood, milk and meat. And population continues to grow. So, if you're not careful, animal farm, the behavior of animal farm you heard of. So there people are just in the wild. Wake up, you survival for the fittest. That is exactly what happens there.
So you feel the government has been unfair to you?
Unfair, and they must repent. In fact, a government that's very serious must come and give an apology, just like they talked about Wakala massacre.
So they must give an apology.
Apology, because apology in the sense that why would you allow, say, Tosa Turkanas, Tosa Pokot, Tosa Samburus? Sincerely, and that is where Kenya is going to go in the near future. And I'm told by the grace of God we have a lot of things to come. Oil now is in Turkana. Geothermal now is in East Pokot. There are a lot of limestone in West Pokot where I come from, and gold. By the grace of God, you people now who watched us to suffer those days will come. Your economy is going to be crafted around those things in future. So the best thing to do is for the government to move in and assist. You have asked about the county governments.
Yes.
The county government have been given money by the constitution called Equalization Fund. Turkana County, Samburu, Pokot, Tuken, and 10 others, 14 of them in total.
Right.
This money is exactly 4 years old, accumulated it is accumulating in central bank.
Okay.
It has not been released, and it's supposed to do 4 things: open up roads in those counties, rural electrification to bring up to the standards of where other Kenyans are, education, water, and others. No,
so you're saying the work you want to do, that is the hindrance, that's why you're not implementing. Let's go to what the cabinet secretary said the other day in Kaiseri. He said that the leadership in this region, yourself included, he believes are behind some of this violence, fueling it. He believes he knows even some of these individuals. What do you say when you hear the man charged with security saying that it is some of you leaders that are making this so entrenched in this part of the country?
I think that's where Honorable Nkaissery are gone wrong. It's very analog. How can you dare imagine leaders benefit from this? When those of us who are outside politics those days were thinking that those characters who are in politics were benefiting from it. You know, I had very good leaders who were ahead of me, who have been MPs for 20 years. And when the new dispensation came, we removed them. So there is no old leader in Pokot land who remained. Everybody is new. So if people were benefiting from these fights, they would have been permanent and pensionable until God takes them.
But you see
so that thought and that theory is erroneous.
You might be thinking the CS suggesting that maybe you're going out and preaching to these people, telling them go and kill. But no, it's these subtle things like what you said about Takwel, where the two leaders tell their people this is our land, and the same piece of land the other leader says this is ours. So inadvertently that will fuel violence. It is these subtle things that when you do not agree as a leadership, you're all claiming the same resources, you're in agreement with whatever your people feel, they will back you up, support you, because they know this is our man. But at the end of it, when the two are not agreeing, that only goes to fuel conflict. So yes, you're not preaching kill the other, but by supporting positions that do not forge peace, then you are propagating, in a sense, this violence.
Where is the prefect? Government. When you see, I have explained my people how they are supposed to live. The other ones also explain their people how they are supposed to live. Where is the mediator in this? Where are they?
So you cannot mediate within yourselves. You're saying
how would you
government
mediate?
must come.
What we have said, and we, without fear of contradiction, we have told the people of Turkana, this small village called Lorokon, leave it to us because it is in West Pokot.
And they have said
and they have
not.
refused. Now, what do you want us to do? Because
so you
far
fight.
away, no, there's no fighting there. You just stick to the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You want to say, okay, come and take it. What about the people who are there? And we have polling stations there. We have chiefs. We have everybody on the other side. Let us correct it. Let us look at it this way. This is what I'm seeing. The whole scenario that has climax to now, where we are able to work together as leaders, and I can assure you we are serious on this. My colleagues from Turkana, my colleagues from Pokot, my colleagues from Tuken and Baringo, we are serious on Sambur. We are very serious on it. We have gone and told the people where you are, just don't claim any land, anything. Sort out your issues. But now the challenge that is going to come 2017 is voting. Now, villages that are on the other side is for sure what is going to happen. So we are trying to sort out with the government now, and we are telling Nkaissery he has also to go there. He should not behave like an army man. He should also go there and see. These are things have changed, and you must actually go and work. Like right now, we have very serious peace committees on the ground. But
there were reports that there were people who were killed after they came from one of those peace caravans. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Not as much as I know. Maybe I hear those one in Isiolo. We were not part of that.
Right.
In Pokot, this is what happened. For the first time, some Turkanas came and stole goats from my people. Senator Muñez and MP Lomenen and Ngikor, they followed those animals until they returned.
Because they knew what that would mean.
No, you see, because we have to walk the talk. And I'm very happy with my brothers because of what they did.
All right.
Right now, my people are in Turkana. Right now, they are in Kaputur. Pokot men, they are in Nakwamoru.
All right.
And they keep exchanging one another. Visiting. And I'm very happy.
Let's talk about disarmament now, because you touched on this earlier on, that your position is that disarmament should not be the focus now. It shouldn't be the thing that the government prioritizes. And we've seen Nkaissery talk about it, give ultimatums, the president himself, the IG, on returning of these weapons. Why do you think that is not where they should be starting in terms of their strategy, disarmament?
You know, like I've just mentioned, let us not be analog. From 1963, our forefathers have used the same technique you're talking about. Remove, including Nkaissery himself, he led a very terrible operation in 1984, where we lost all animals. Even my father lost 250 cows until I didn't have school fees to go to high school. Until the same government decided to come in and pay fees for me in the St. Mary's School, Yala. Yet earlier we were depending on ourselves.
So it's attempted and failed.
Yes, in fact, they did things that are unimaginable. We have men who are living examples who are castrated, very bad. That idea doesn't work. Soft approach works. Use your tongue, use your mouth, and then replace those few.
Use your tongue, use your mouth. So soft approach. They've come there, they've spoken, given ultimatums. The president was very harsh.
We don't want ultimatums.
So what soft tongue is this?
Soft tongue is soft approach. You know, you need to go and Google soft approach in the security.
But
what does it mean?
For the people who are watching and don't understand, you need to be clear.
Yeah. Sorry, yes. I agree with you with that. So what that means, soft approach means you don't use force. You don't also use excess carrot. You walk the talk with them. You don't walk from here, like the way now the minister was using ultimatums. That's not the approach. The approach is you create your systems on the ground that work.
So is there a real example you can give me? Because yes, I hear what you're saying, but what I'm asking is, what is that real soft approach? Would it be them coming and having a baraza or meetings? What is it exactly? The
soft approach that we have is we need groups to be created that can work. We have elders there, that's why I've been pushing a bill seriously, and it is now through in Parliament, where recognition has to be given for these wases. Some communities don't operate without wases. You have no choice. You have to accept that system. That's where I come from. If you want to reach anything, use those guys who look like they don't know anything. They know a lot. If you use them, you are finished. You are finished otherwise. But you come with your wisdom and your tie out. Even me, when I go there, I don't speak as a professor. I speak as a villager. And then when I now emerge as an academician, they can now follow where I'm from. And then KPR, Kenya Police Reservists, who are government employees, use them. We need to recruit them. I'm saying we need to restructure the whole system the way the OCBD used to give out to an individual that has been proposed by some people. Go to a village and say we need 5 or 10 KPRs here, and allow the people, women, children, wives, everybody to recruit them there because they know who has a good CV. Then come and retrain them. When they have been retrained, you can remove any illegal gun. And you know, illegal gun people don't buy for free. Just like I've not bought this suit for me today just because I love it. It's because I need to look neat. Okay. There they have to save their lives.
And you also mentioned something about this disarmament has been targeted in some regions and not others. So for example, you're saying it needs to happen in all of these regions.
If we need to, let's do what Museveni did. And let us not be ashamed to copy what our neighbor has done. Sometimes we have a very foolish behavior in Kenya. We say, let's not copy others. What Museveni did, and we give honor to that Muse, everywhere, wherever we are, because we are neighbors there. We died, my brother died, everybody were killed because of the bandits from Uganda. But what he did, he came up with a strategy which he worked with locals of his people in Uganda, living around the border, and created a working, like similar to KPR, Uganda People's something, and then came with army and GSU. What he did strategically, he planted along the border camps, a stretch of 300, 400 kilometers. Then, after he had done that, he tells the people, go and see my camps, I've secured the border. These Pokots in Kenya, these Turkana in Kenya, these Luyas of Kenya will not come and steal you. I have blocked.
Okay.
Now, remove any illegal gun you have. You are not supposed to have it. Take it to the people at the border, they will take it. You know, that's exactly what happened. People now walk without even a walking stick.
So, as you mentioned walking stick, Director, I want him to play for us a clip of the Baringo County Commissioner and what he had to say last week in as far as, you know, dealing with some of these issues. Director, let's play that clip.
Ama je, ukipata mtu wako na bunduki, ikenyo richiba gitiondo, maskari yetu, askari, hata kama ni mchana, hata kapaet, hata kama ni usiku, andakogo, hata anasema hiyo ndio fimbo yangu ya kuchunga ng'ombe. Awali kinyanya yogi uta,
Malisa.
Uta ma.
So this is the president's representative at the county level. That's Peter Okwanyo, who's the Baringo County Commissioner. He's saying the way to deal with this, shoot to kill. Even if they're working with stolen livestock and they don't have firearms, kill them. If they're from torching houses, look like them torching houses, kill them. Do you agree with that school of thought?
This man was very good. He was our county commissioner up to early this year. I think some evil spirit has entered him. Because you can't talk like that. You can't talk like that. You can end up killing somebody you hated just because of that type of directive. If he is defeated to bring order because he looks like he's frustrated and his bosses are on him, he should ask for a transfer. They should get somebody else. Like the problem they are talking about, that is Tuken and Pokot. There was never a problem before. This thing just germinated recently when there was drought in Pokot side, the East Pokot. And then they decided to bring the animals to Tuken side without any coordinated movement, without their leaders going to talk, destroying people's mboka, and then somehow the tension built. It has now gone to almost 3 years. You have said that's a very small problem. It's not like ours which we have been having with the Turkana. Theirs, in fact, the Turkana leaders, when they came there, they really laughed. This is a very tiny thing, which the leadership of Baringo actually can sort it out. But it looks like the leaders forgot, to the extent that some new imaginary leaders have appeared on the ground and they have installed themselves waiting for 2017. That's what I just saw there.
Okay.
So Okwanyo needs repentance, and it is today.
One of the MPs in one of the dailies I was reading earlier is saying that Asman Kamama, chair of the Security Committee, is part of the problem in that region, that he needs to be gotten out of office and out of that committee. Do you agree with those sentiments?
I don't agree. I don't agree, not because I love Kamama, 100%. All of us have our weaknesses. But say remove this one so that this one can come. It doesn't come. What we should be asking is, Mheshimiwa Kamama, can you use your position, chairman security, and focus on your constituency, which is almost giving people problems, and go sit down, use the government machinery, which is not using, to the extent that Okwanyo is now inserting himself, doing things which are not supposed to be done. He should actually utilize that opportunity, because like he has no KPRs, that man called Kamama. If there were KPRs, when a bandit comes to strike, the KPRs are the ones supposed to chase him. And Pokots fear killing one another. That's where the problem is. So it is very easy for them to capture one another. So that is what Kamama should do. If he has failed to use, you should be telling him, if you have failed to use your position to bring order,
then to get somebody else.
But we should resign so that this one can come. No. That can work, but we need to give him a deadline.
But didn't you just say, give him a deadline? Yes, finish.
Give him a deadline to craft a strategy as a chairman.
For how long does he need, surely? We have been, it's 2 years on since you guys came into office.
Okay, since we have not told him, we are now telling him as Kenyans, through you and me, that craft a strategy that can work. And also, the people who appointed him, we have a leadership in this country. And they listen, not just anybody is put in that position, unless the leadership agrees. So he utilizes that opportunity to explain where the true problem is, unless he doesn't want to use it.
So you're saying of him changing leadership does not necessarily fix the issue. Yet you say of your region, which has had these historical issues, that those leaders of that time are gone and now you've come in. So what is it you believe about this new leadership that will change issues that have been there historically for years and years, and that was so bad with the leaders now gone, and that you are coming with a different approach?
I agree with you. We don't change Kamama for now unless it doesn't change, but 2017 is coming. Just like we did changes in Pokot, and we are now, all of us are going to school. Like I've told you, right now the county that is demanding for many teachers, because there is, everywhere is just a school even under 3, is West Pokot. Tiati constituency, which is East Pokot. If their leadership doesn't change, we will change them 2017.
Okay.
And I'm serious on it.
So what will be the solution finally to bring these issues to Turkana and the Pokots, all of this fighting and warring over the years? You've talked about the soft approach. What do you see as your responsibility?
And my responsibility is to continue to advocate for peace, and I fail myself. What has been a problem is earlier were leaders who would sit in Ivory Tower in Nairobi and issue instructions. Oh, peace, peace, peace. Peace is not found by hot air. You have to go on the ground. That's where I had a lot of problems earlier, because my colleagues saw a new approach of leadership that has come. Every weekend, this senator is in the village. Some of these villages, 20 iron sheets, put your kids in a nursery school, please. Everywhere. To the extent that the people who are not used to this fashion would say, what is he up to? Some my neighboring communities would think I'm inciting people.
Yeah.
My own colleagues would think I'm removing them. So now, when we have worked with them for the last 2 weeks, they have realized what I mean. That this man is in touch with the people and is confronting everybody. Because our whole Turkana reformed warrior would say, if it was not because of Lonyangapua, who came and told us this and this, and then the Pokot would say that, then people are now saying, this train, let us work with this man.
So there's a Robert here who is saying, there are those who will look at Senator Lonyangapua as a terrorist, a warlord. And then there are those who will look at him as a freedom fighter. It depends on which side of the coin you're looking at. What do you say to that?
Yes, and everybody was looking at me as a good example until I became a politician. Because everybody, ask anybody, who is Lonyangapua? Lonyangapua is a leader who makes things happen. When he was PS, when he was principal, when he was everything. But now I'm trying to put order here, but I'm putting order in a system that was already disorderly. I read a book written by in 1886. It says, when you are removing a monster, be careful lest you be also be called a monster.
So you understand the people who call you a warlord, you understand where they're coming from?
I understand they are all my people.
Okay.
But they will know me as we go on. Because I have a prayer, and because I don't know why God put me there to be a leader.
All right, sir.
Watch these steps. I became number one. Who made me number one? Number one. So I was making a fun yesterday. When you shake this number one, it becomes Kanu. So let's go back to Kanu.
And you said Kanu is not going to be part of JAP.
Yes, of course we can work with JAP, but it cannot be swallowed by JAP. How can another little party swallow a big party? Which
little party? JAP is a little...
It is not even there. What are you saying? Jubilee coalition is there, but JAP, you need to.
All right. My director tells me our time is far much gone. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you making time for us, our person of interest.